Hey guys, Sarah Pacaro. Today's video is going to be about something that I often talk about, but something that is really important to address. And this was from a post inside of a Healing from Toxic Relationships group. And there are a lot of common misconceptions and beliefs about what it takes to actually break free from this and to heal from this. If you have suffered from narcissistic abuse or been in a toxic and unhealthy relationship, and a relationship that was emotionally unavailable, the biggest impact it has is on you. That toxic person goes on about their life and they go do them, right? You go do you. People say that, and that is what they do. But there are a lot of mistruths out there, lies that people are believing as truths, and then they lead to having a significant impact in your life. So the number one thing that this post was talking about is dealing with overwhelm. And it said, is feeling overwhelmed in life, with life, something that you often deal with? Well, yeah, I would say the vast majority of people, I don't know very many that would say no and answer that as no. Everything's peachy keen all the time. And overwhelm means everything suddenly seeming too much. And we don't believe that we can manage. Well, I think most people would agree with that definition of overwhelm and the experience that overwhelm is having in your personal life, in your business life, in your relationships, and in relationships with significant others, with family, with your boss, with your children, every relationship, right? Because we are relational beings. This post went on to ask, if you find yourself completely overwhelmed and in need of fast acting ways to calm down from stress, don't worry. There are quick and easy things you can do to cope. So we're going to go over some of those today and kind of break this because we all do these things all the time. So the first one was take a deep breath and step away. Well, I'd go out there to say that I have done this, and majority of other people have done this as well. Take a deep breath and step away. And what does that really and actually do for you? If you're feeling overwhelmed or anxious, a quick way, this is what it says, a quick way to alleviate those feelings is by doing breathing exercises. Well, aren't we all breathing all the time anyway? I mean, if we weren't, would we even be alive? So, yes, I am an advocate for breathing exercises, but not to say that that is the end all be all answer. Because when you're breathing, you're breathing. So if that thing is overwhelming and in front of you, try taking a step away from it to create some separation between you and whatever it is that's making you feel that way. Well, you can get physical separation, but here's the problem with that. You don't get emotional separation. You don't get mental separation. Yes, you can physically step away from that. You can go into another room, you can go somewhere else. But the problem is that taking a step away does not separate you emotionally or mentally. That's where you can step away, and when you've stepped away, you go into an even deeper and darker place within your mind, and that's really when the what ifs completely ramp up and you're not there to see or experience. And so you're questioning and you're wondering and you're wanting to go back, and that's what keeps people in these unhealthy and toxic relationships who are given and accept and take the advice will just walk away stuck. Because you can walk away physically, you can step out physically, but when you do that, more often than not, because the unconscious programming that's running those thoughts and beliefs goes on haywire when you step away, because you can't step away mentally and emotionally just by breathing or walking out of the room. So that's one of the problems. Deep breathing exercises, it goes on to say, are a great way to promote relaxation and lower your stress response. Yes, for a time. But the problem is most people will engage in this, and then, like I said, that unconscious programming, the emotional connection, the mental connection, you can't step out of a room and get away from that. I mean, you can leave, go from one room to another, you can take a deep breath and step away, but mentally and emotionally, it's like you're in this bigger, deeper darkness of this room because you're not there physically. So that's why most people find that they oftentimes go back because they want to see, right? It's a reason for the season right now, and seeing is believing, right? And I'm filming this in December, so that's why I'm saying that. If you're watching this later, that might not make sense, but it's almost Christmas time. It's right around the corner. People say seeing is believing. We'll have to see it to believe it. I cannot tell you how many times I've worked with people that have stayed in toxic, unhealthy, emotionally manipulative, and abusive relationships because they want to get proof. They want to see it for themselves. They want to catch that person in the act of doing all the things that they are doing that they say they're not doing. So taking a deep breath and stepping away It's not always that easy because you can't step away mentally and emotionally by just leaving the room or by breathing. We're all always breathing anyway. Yes, deep breathing is helpful and it can promote relaxation and lower your stress response, but only for a time, because the stress response comes from something that's happening internally and is reflecting externally. So that's the number one myth buster about that advice. The second one is create a no list. Well, here's the problem with lists. We've got lists and lists and lists and lists. And if you create a no list, that's all you've done is write something down. And it goes on to say that protecting your time and space can help give you a sense of control over your schedule. If you don't want to do something or you have been dreading, whatever it is that you feel like you have to do, know that you can write it on the no list and you don't have to do it. Again, it's not that easy. Just writing something down is writing something down. But you write that down and then you step away from it. It's still there mentally, that feeling of anguish, the feeling of dread, the feeling of guilt, the feeling of shame, blaming yourself because you don't want to go do this thing that you wrote on your no list. But you still feel that energetic and emotional pull to do the thing, even though you wrote it down on your no list. It doesn't matter. You can create a no list, but it doesn't mean that you are going to say no when it comes time to doing the thing that you wrote on your no list that you're not going to do, because it's just a list and you leave, but mentally and emotionally, you haven't left from that no list. It's still there pestering you and eating you up inside in your mind. And the advice goes on to say, replace the activities that you don't want to do with something that you'll enjoy. Well, here's the problem with that. You can go do that. You cannot do the things that you said because you can replace them with something that you'll enjoy, and you won't enjoy them because, again, mentally and emotionally, you're doing something that you enjoy. Like, let's say, for example, going over to mother-in-law's house. Mother-in-law's a narcissist, and you say, no, write it on your no list. No, not going up to mother-in-law's house. I'm going to replace it with something that I enjoy. Well, I enjoy riding my bike and going to yoga. So I'm going to ride my bike and go to yoga instead. Guess what you're going to be thinking about the entire time you're riding your bike or going to yoga? You're going to be thinking about the hell that you're going to have to pay because you didn't show up at your mother-in-law's house, what she's going to say, how she's going to berate you, how she's going to blow up your phone, and how after you get done with your bike ride or yoga class, you're going to be met with a barrage of nasty, angry, vindictive messages from mother-in-law. But you wrote it on your no list and you replaced it with something that you enjoy. It's not that easy. It does go on to say that healthy boundaries are crucial for your well-being. Yes, that's 100% true. But just putting in a healthy boundary and replacing the thing on your no list that you want to do with something that you enjoy more does not change that emotional and mental connection. It actually ruins those things and makes it so that later on in the future, you don't want to do them because those things that you used to enjoy, now you're doing the physical act of doing them, like riding your bike or yoga, but you're thinking about all of the other things, all of the negative things, all the things that you're going to have to hear about and deal with later. So yeah, you can say, well, it was on the no list and that's a healthy boundary. And they are crucial for your well-being, but not if you're simply replacing the activity and stuck inside your mind in all that toxicity. So creating a no list doesn't really do anything. I mean, it can help you for a time and you can say, okay, I've got my no list. I'm not going to do those things. I don't even think I can handle like telling that person no. I don't think I can handle what the price I'm going to have to pay if I actually follow through with those things on my no list. It's just going to make it worse. So creating a no list, I mean, be my guest, take your time. I mean, it can be helpful to see, but it can be even more daunting and leave you feeling more overwhelmed with all the things that you see listed out that you have to say no to. So, yeah. Third one says, be kind to yourself. Remember that feeling overwhelmed is okay. Yeah. We all feel overwhelmed with so many things all the time if we're thinking about them. is not working for us, especially now. It also remembers to help that feeling overwhelmed doesn't have to last. Well, let me tell you, those are the very people that come to me because they feel like the feeling of overwhelmed will never end. So for someone to say, remember, it doesn't last. Someone who hears those words and receives that advice may say, yeah, that's cute of you to say, but you don't live in my world. You have no idea what I've gone through. It does last. It lasts forever. It lasts through the day. It lasts through the night. It lasts through the week. It lasts through the month. It lasts through the year. So, oh, remember that feeling overwhelmed doesn't last. Yeah, thanks. I'm glad that works for you. I hope that works for you. Be kind to yourself. Well, the problem with that is you're dealing with all of this stuff, the feeling of overwhelm with everything in life. How in the world can I be kind to myself when I've got this list of things that I'm supposed to do? And now this new no list of things that I'm supposed to easily say no to, walk away from, and go do something else that I enjoy. That's just going to increase the amount of overwhelm that you feel. And I said, give yourself some grace. Okay, well, I'm just going to lay on the couch and have a glass of wine and watch a movie. But in the back of my head, all of the things that I have to do, and my kids and my job and my this and my that, that's not getting done because I'm being lazy right now by just lying on the couch and having a glass of wine, something that I should be able to enjoy and something that I should be able to give myself grace to do. It feels impossible to do. I literally would just turn the movie off after 30 minutes and go do all those things because then I'll feel better. At least I got some things accomplished. So sometimes it feels impossible when you're in that space to give yourself some grace. And if that's where you are, totally get it. I've been there. And those are the very types of people that I work with to break through those feelings emotionally, mentally, energetically. It says if you don't get to that tour, ask yourself for an extension at work. You can, right? And even if you don't get to that chore, you're going to be thinking about the fact that you didn't get to that chore. So it's not that you're not doing those things. Again, I hope you're seeing a theme with all this. It's your thinking about all of it that's causing the distortions, that's causing the feelings, the sensations of overwhelm. Your mental health should be a top priority. Well, there's that word should, and that's a distortion in thinking, should, right? And many people go, yeah, I know, but what, I mean, do you even have any idea what I deal with in life? Yeah, it should be a top priority. Well, I don't have the money to spend on my mental health. My kids come first. If it's not for me doing all of this, then everything falls apart. So yeah, it should be, but yeah, great. I don't have time for that. So it's your thinking about it. And that phrase in and of itself that's given as advice can make people even more overwhelmed and even more agitated, irritated, angry, and upset when they hear those things. The next one says, ask for help from a loved one. Well, here's what most people experience and face when asking for help, especially from a loved one. They feel judged, they feel ashamed because they have to reveal what it is that they're dealing with and what they're feeling about it and how helpless and how overwhelmed and how stressed and exhausted they feel. And most people don't want to put their burdens and problems on other people because they know that that loved one has all the things of their own that they're dealing with, and they don't want to take their stuff and dump it on them because they love them and they don't want them to feel bad or guilty or even know really how hard it is for them and how burnt out they are, because they know that they love them or know that that loved one has already done so much for them. And if they do share what they're experiencing with the exhaustion, fatigue, overwhelm, stress, then they're going to make that loved one feel like they haven't done enough to help them. And they may logically know that's not true. If it weren't for them, I wouldn't be where I am. I wouldn't have made it through what I've already made it through because of their love and support. So asking for help for a loved one, yeah, it sounds like good advice on the surface, but a lot of people get stuck there and say, no, I just can't. I can't have them actually and really know what's going on. If they did, they would feel like everything they've done for me has been for nothing. They would feel like they haven't made a difference in their lives. And the fact is they have. So I can't tell them anymore about what's going on. And I know that they have their own life to live, and I can't put my problems on them, because then I'm just going to make theirs miserable. So it does go on to say that your social support network is there for you. Lean on them, talk things through. The problem with that is you're just talking. You're just blah, 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 but you're not creating change. You're talking at the surface level. You're talking at the symptoms. You're talking about the feelings. You're not getting to the root of what is causing the overwhelm. So you're talking about the problems. You're giving energy to the problems, and all you get when you do that is more of that. You get more negativity, more problems, more toxicity. And so you feel overwhelmed because you feel stuck in that. So, yes, a social support and network is great for you to lean on or vent or talk things through. But again, how long are you just going to talk about problems instead of actually eliminating them, getting rid of them, getting to the core and root of them, and then getting to a place where you have different, new, more beneficial, more positive choice? So you should be utilizing your support group to talk about the solutions and how incredible your life is now that you overcame this, not just stay in the circle of talking about the problems and the overwhelm and everything that's going wrong in your life, because you're just going to get more of that. And it says, reach out to a friend for a virtual chat or pick up the phone and call a family member. Again, that goes back to a lot of people just saying, I don't want to burden other people with my problems. And one of the top things that most people experience when they're feeling this level of overwhelm is isolation. They retreat. It's a protective mechanism of your mind. It's fight, flight, freeze, and fawn, right? So you may find yourself in relationships where you just want to go fix the problems for everyone else, but you don't put yourself at the top of that list, and you can't, you literally think that you can't do for yourself what you so easily do for others. It's easy for you to be there for other people and listen to their problems, but you don't feel that you deserve the same in return. So that reaching out for a friend or a virtual chat or picking up the phone and calling a family member seems impossible, because again, you don't want to burden them and overwhelm them with everything that you're going through. And so maybe you do that, and maybe you intend to open up, but you fear being vulnerable because it's scary being vulnerable. So you do reach out to a friend or family member for a quick chat, but you end up talking surface level. You end up not opening up about what's really deeply going on inside. And if that person doesn't foster and create an environment for that, if they're just, hey, how are you? Oh my gosh, it's so good to hear from you. What's going on? How is everything? Oh no, it's good. Yeah, no, it's good. And that's the level of your conversation. How in the world do you expect to make any movement or to move the needle at all, or to alleviate the feeling of overwhelm? Because then you end the phone call and you think, well, that was a waste of an hour. And now I've got all these other million things to do. Okay. So then you end up stopping doing that in the future. And then the last piece of advice is to write it out. Again, same thing with the create a no list. Writing it out is journaling. So many people say that, oh, I've journaled for years, and all I do is write about my problems. And then the journaling feels overwhelming because I guess it helps to get it out. But again, surface level, conscious stuff, you're not getting to the root of it, and you're just journaling about your problems. You write about what you feel is overwhelming you. And so there's another way to alleviate those feelings. A lot of people I've worked with have said that journaling actually makes them feel worse, because then they're not just thinking it, they're seeing all their problems. And then that is a validation of just how messed up they are. I cannot tell you the number of clients that I have taken on prior to working together who've said, I want to burn my journals. I'm like ashamed of what I've written in them. They are so dark and they are so scary. Like, to see what I was thinking is really scary. I never want anyone to see what I've written. So sometimes journaling actually makes you feel worse, because now you're not only thinking it, thinking those dark and scary, toxic, negative thoughts, you're seeing it as well. And it's an external validation of what's happening internally. So the advice goes on to say that do this unstructured, which just means like a free flow writing. Don't have like, today, da, 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 like just openly free flow and write and journal. Having a stream of written consciousness allows you to express yourself freely, get those thoughts out of your head, which will be a relief. Well, like I just said, so many people say it's actually not a relief. It makes me feel worse because now I'm not only thinking it, I'm seeing it. And there's external validation of just how messed up I am. So I had to share this video because all of those things on the surface are good. They're good advice, sound advice, solid advice from like a coach or a friend or someone who's like, just go do this and then you'll feel better. The problem is people take that advice and then when they don't feel better, they feel like there's something wrong with them because those things that should have worked or were supposed to have worked to make them feel better were a complete, epic, and utter fail. And now they feel even worse. So be careful following advice like this and make sure that you connect with someone. There are many people out there. I am one of them as well. If you're interested in more information, you can find links in the video below this description, but someone who will truly help you get to the core, get to the root of all of these feelings, because that's what it is. Overwhelm is a feeling, a sensation, and help you break out from it, break free from it, so that when you go to do these things, they feel easier. They do make you feel better. They help move you in the right direction instead of moving you backwards into feeling more exhaustion, more overwhelm, more stress, more heaviness. So if you're not doing these in conjunction, if you're just doing these things alone, they can oftentimes make you feel a million times worse. But if you're doing these while transforming and breaking through from the unconscious level, what causes these sensations and feelings to come up and then feel incredibly heavy and weighed down, then they can be a good thing. But not always alone are they a good thing. So yeah, just had to break the myths and dispel some of the common advice that's out there about things that should make you feel better when you're feeling overwhelmed. So hope you've liked this video. If you haven't, just click to the next one, move on. But if this makes sense to you, if it resonates to you and you're thinking, wow, yeah, okay, I got to find out what is going on internally that's making me feel this way externally. And when I take that advice and do all the things, I don't feel any better. Why is that? Well, because that internal programming is still running. So it takes reprogramming, rewiring that before any of these external things are even going to make a dent, scratch, or difference. So thank you guys. Hope you've enjoyed this video and I look forward to connecting with you very soon. Again, you can find more ways to connect one-to-one in the links below this video.